Welcome back. Now, dowry has for generations defined the coming together of two individuals in marriage. The dowry ceremony varies from culture to culture. However, in most, it is a sign of a man's commitment to take care of his wife and is seen as a symbolic act and a necessary part of upholding culture rather than a purchase. Now, you've shared some of your feedback on what dowry means in your various cultures, but here now is a discussion on whether it is still relevant today and what it actually means. Take a look. We are here at the Mugs and Brews restaurant at Marsabit Plaza. The guests on the show are Anita Ray, Hot 96 radio presenter, Elder John Nganga, a motivational speaker and author who has written extensively on the topic of dowry, and Sheikh Salim Charo, the chairman of the Council of Imams and Preachers of Kenya, Nairobi branch. All right, let's get right into the discussion. I think I'll begin with you, Elder Nganga, just in terms of understanding dowry, why it started, what was the purpose? Because from what it's become now, it's a very different thing when we think about its intended purpose.
Now, the Old Testament of the Bible has places for dowry.
Yeah.
The New Testament doesn't. Talking to my grandfather, and my grandfather was alive before the white man arrived. He was an adult by 1900.
Wow.
So by the time I was getting born, he was a very old man. And so I listened to him about life before the white man came to Kenya. Looking at several of the tribes in Kenya, because they are different. Like I was in Malawi, I discovered in Malawi, it's the women marry men, and it's still in Africa.
Wow, that's
and I was actually very surprised.
Yeah.
And there's a tribe between Malawi and Congo and Zambia where when you marry, women are the ones who own the land, men move.
So they initiate the marriage process.
Yes. So I was the first time I was in Zambia, and I had because my friend told me he comes from that group. I said, what? Because you see, most of Africa, it is the men who own property.
Yes.
They are the ones who pay the dowry,
right?
Whatever. But the idea behind the dowry are threefold. Number one is a compensation for loss. You see, in most of the cultures of earlier days,
yes,
when a girl moved, remember, people are labor. So when a girl moved, she moved to become the labor in the husband's place. That means she has been cultivating in her mother's place,
yes, and
economically helping that family.
Yes.
Now, if a boy decides to take you, because it's a girl who moves, it means the family will be minus labor.
Right.
Sure, it's only fair that you compensate them for the loss. Because basically where she comes, she will be cultivating, she will be adding to that economy.
Yeah.
And so it was a way of admitting that the family of the boy is gaining, the family of the girl is losing.
Right.
And actually, when you came to your when you came to your husband's place, you hardly ever visited your parents. It was a big ceremony to move there. You came here, and I know that because the last born in my grandfather's family got married in Ukabani. I'm Kikuyu, got married in Ukabani. Yes. 1958, he's the last born. Yeah. And she never came for the next 5 years.
My goodness.
I was a small boy.
So it was a complete handover.
Yes, 1958, I was a small boy. And she just left and left.
And now the second purpose for dowry.
They paid dowry. So that's the first one.
Yeah.
It's a compensation. The second one is a way of bringing two families together.
Yes.
In other words, you are not just coming to pay dowry. You are coming to know each other. And from then onwards, there will be a relationship between the two families. They respect each other. You have to be very careful how you behave in the presence of your in-law. So it was a way of two families coming together. That means if two clans hated each other, they would not even marry, because basically you are creating a relationship.
Right.
And thirdly, the whole thing about dowry was actually also trading. If you had more girls, people admired you in advance. They say, hey, utakuwa tajiri, you will be a rich man. So it was basically a way. It was a way of it's a way of the more girls you got, the more income you ended up with.
So they became almost like a commodity when you think about it.
Yes, yes. In fact, in Kikuyu, when you meet somebody, they ask you, "No agoranire? Did you buy?"
Wow.
Yeah. The word kogorana is to buy. Yeah. Did you buy? What's wrong with you? You have been working for this. You are wasting your money. You should have used the money to buy a wife by now.
Wow.
So that we like to, because we don't like that connotation.
Yes.
We like to play it down.
Yeah.
But the truth is, dowry is trading.
Yes, Sheikh.
To add on what he has just said, dowry in Islam, number one, it honors the bride, and secondly, it's also like an appreciation to the bride, because since she is going to be part of you, and the third thing that he has mentioned, you know, is bring those two families together. Yes. But interestingly is that in Islam, the dowry is given to the bride,
not to the parents.
Not the parents.
Man. Yeah. You are serious?
It's given. Yes, yes. It's given. Yeah. And
does the Quran say it, or is?
Yes, Quran says. Yeah. In the Quran. In the Quran. Yeah, and give brides their dowry.
Yeah. But you come with it to my house.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then what you do with it, we don't dictate.
Yeah.
As long as it goes to the bride.
She's the one knows what to do with it. She can give it to her mother. She can do whatever she wants with.
You're planting some seeds.
Exactly. Yeah. So initially, that's what happens. Yeah, and on what he has mentioned, you know, bringing those two families together. In some instances where there were, you know, when there are those fights and we call them beefs amongst two families. But when one marries from the other family, you know, it ceases because you are our in-laws, you know, and
That's interesting. You know, Anita, you seemed very excited by the fact that the dowry goes to the bride. But, you know, when you hear about just the origins of dowry and the understanding behind it, I mean, I know a lot of women have an issue today because it almost commodifies a woman. Yeah. And it seems like it's a transaction as opposed to appreciation as it was originally kind of thought out. But what is your take on dowry today?
I think, to be honest, at this day and age, we should ban dowry, like, honestly, because it's stopped being what it was. As he said, dowry was appreciation, or they made it look like appreciation. But he said one funny thing: every Kikuyu person is going to ask, no, for a woman, no, why you bought? And if you've not been bought, your aunties do not want you at weddings. Why have you not been bought? Is there a man who can't afford you? When men don't want you, you know, and they will always mock you and say you're going to be bought for less money the older you grow. But you see the problem? The problem with our generation, we've made it a genuine business. Like, unless this man has this amount of money to place in my parents' house, you're not going home with me. And our parents, sadly, have even bought into this, and they accept it. So the problem with that, it has enslaved so many women in bad and abusive marriages. But you can't leave because this man looks at you and says, I put a whole million into you. You cannot tell me anything in this. Don't even talk. You should not even exist. You're supposed to be seen only, not talk. I don't wanna. And you see, when you go back to your parents, they're like, but umelipiwa mahari, which is true. So you have already been bought. So you really need to go back. And Victoria makes people in such bad marriages. And I've seen people who come to you and they're like, I can't even go home. You've had stories of people who are in a happy marriage. Then they just disappeared and ran away because you can't go home. Your parents have taken the dowry. They can't give it back. They're not going to give it back. And then parents nowadays are using dowry for the worst excuses ever. Nilimsomesha. Listen, you're my parent. That's your job. You signed up for that. You wanted a child. So why are you asking someone to pay you for doing your job? I mean, this is what you wanted. I'm your job. You were to raise me. That's what you should do as a parent. Even that boy was raised. I think then dowry should be halfway then. Your parents should also pay the boy because he was also raised. And if we're paying you for actually raising someone, why are we paying parents for raising people? If people want to get married, remove the money in it. Remove that dowry because it never makes sense. Once you pay for a person, once you buy a phone, Victoria, whatever you do with that phone, nobody can dictate. Now, if you buy a human being, whatever you want to do with them, nobody can dictate. So it leaves the women in very vulnerable places. But I want to be Muslim. I mean, if I get the dowry.
And that's an interesting take because it's such pressure on these young men. And Sheikh, we were talking about this earlier. Wajir, they're wanting to regulate this whole dowry process because it's become a bit too much.
Okay, I can put it this way. It has been commercialized. You know, to an extent, you know, people get into loans And it's interestingly, and it's not something that, you know, after raising all this money, number one for the dowry, and you know there are other expenses when it comes to the reception, and yes. you know millions are being spent. And one of which happens is that even most of those marriages, they don't even last for 3 months.
Wow.
We do have cases in Lamu and Mombasa County, because the extravagance, and then later, maybe in 3 months, you know, they end up being divorced or something. And to add on what she was saying is that,
Anita.
you know, to Anita was saying, okay, once we give the dowry to the bride, it's the man's responsibility to take care of the bride. Yeah, so she won't come and you know, start asking her, you know, we want to eat, you know, we have to do this. So she'll keep the money, and any other thing, the man is the one to provide for. Yeah.
You know, it's the reality that, you know, you spend so much to gain this woman and bring her into your life. This is now the perspective of a young man, and then life happens, and you realize, wow, we have to now do life, pay rent, pay school fees if you have children, and you haven't considered now the future. You know, Elder Nganga, a lot of young men find themselves now in that space, and you represent, you may not be that conniving uncle, you know, the older men, the elders who negotiate many times when it comes to the dowry. That process, what goes into it?
Now, first of all, I am in sympathy with Anita. Because that feeling is for real. The reasoning behind dowry originally persists.
Exactly.
A woman was not expected to be an income, a profit center or an income center.
Exactly.
You came home, it was my responsibility to look after you. Even in Kikuland, all the sheep were owned by the man. The land was owned by the man. The only thing the woman did was to cultivate for food with the mouth, what we eat. That was the responsibility of the woman. The rest of it is a man. Now you come, and both of us were in the university, and both of us, like my wife and I, work. So surely I cannot start pretending that all the money is mine, because my wife might even be earning more than me. Those things are happening now. So we need to stand somewhere and ask, have the circumstances changed enough to require a change in behavior? I think the young man is tempted to start continuing assuming, because especially during the negotiation, I've been involved in the negotiations, we talk like we're in the old culture. If you hear the wazes talking, the old men talking, you would think we are 100 years behind. Even the cows are counted in a similar way. You know, there used to be 5 cows, 3 goats, 100 sheep. And of course, there's nowhere in Nairobi to put them. So they talk like that, then they price them. You know, by the way, the number of sheep for most of the tribes are still exactly the ones originally.
Wow.
What they now change is they say 1 sheep. The first time I was involved, my aunt's wedding is where I had, in 1950s, a sheep was 20 shillings.
Okay.
Today, there is no price. One family will say a sheep is 2,000 shillings. Another will say it's 10,000. So that's why when you see it's be commercialized, it's because there is no formula. That maybe in Wajir they might finally come with formula. But even in Kikuland, there is no formula. The sheep are still the same. The cows are still the same. The pricing depends on negotiations.
And do they consider the status of the woman, you know, if she's working, if she's educated, all those things, do they factor in? They
play around the pricing. In other words, the reason why the sheep is 2,000 or 3,000 is because these are university graduates.
Okay. Okay. And is it the same in Islam as well?
Yeah, it happens. A couple of weeks ago, a friend of mine also went to somewhere in the border of Kenya and Uganda. And, you know, he was told, you know, she's a graduate. So before we talk, we need something like 300. Before we start any negotiation.
Before the negotiation. Exactly. Oh, my word.
So you can, and it's something that you can either get or lose. And also, but we cannot ban dowry, because also is to keep off the jokers. You know, someone might, you know, if you don't spend on something, at least you won't see any value from it. But at least if you spend something, at least you know, you involve your parents, you involve, you know, at least you have to pay something. At least you will have that seriousness. But if you are given something for free, you don't see any value of it. Yeah.
Will the girl see any value?
Because now she's in the middle of this transaction.
The girl got the guy for free. Now, does the girl value the husband?
Yeah, that doesn't make sense at all, actually.
It makes a lot of sense. Because
traditionally, yes.
Maybe traditionally,
but today,
or symbolically.
Today when we are talking, you know, the husband is the protector of the bride, and he should protect her, and he's responsible for any other thing. So whatever little I'm going to pay, you know, all other things, she's going to see the value, because I'll provide for everything, even if she's working, even if she's earning more than me. Unless we come to a mutual agreement that you know, the rent that we are paying, you know, I'm unable at least.
And Anita, you are of the opinion that you would also pay your dowry.
I would, because of this kind of mentality. I really hate it, because
she's willing to pay.
Yeah, because you see the way he's putting it, like why are you giving me away? You get what gives the parents the right to be giving me away? You see, that's where I'm coming.
But
why
I
do
get
the parents feel
Sheikh's
the
point.
Yeah.
Because Sheikh is saying there must be a way of chasing away the jokers.
To show some,
but that's
that you're serious about your intentions.
Just a moment. So what we need to find out is there something other than dowry that can chase away
the jokers? Yeah.
So
maybe taking out the money aspect, but something of value that can still.
Because it needs to be, and I can tell you, the thing that takes marriage seriously is that process. There doesn't even have to be money. But the fact that you come the first time, then you are told to come back a second time. On the actual day of the wedding, you have to ask for the thing. There is a process. It's not just jump, come, we stay. There is a process. And I think that's the point you are trying to make.
And it's interesting.
Whatever we do, we must not stop that aspect of making marriage look something you can't jump into.
But Elder, I have a problem with the fact that, and both of you are not listening to me. That's not what our generation is doing. That's not what yes, they're jumping into it fast, having children fast, then doing the process later, which is wrong. And you see, you're making, as I said, our generation has found it as a business. It's commercial. And you said they charge, if someone is a graduate, if someone like me working in media, if I go to be bought right now, as they say, they would have to charge saying, kwa TV. So personally, I would even want to pay my own dowry, so that we can avoid the essence of someone ever feeling like they paid for me, or and in Kikuyu, I know you can do that.
At the end of the day,
in Kikuyu, you can do that.
So the question should be, how do we change the thinking around it?
Yeah, but I think first of all, we understand your point.
Yeah.
Your point is, we must remove the commercial aspect.
Yes.
A woman has not been seen by Chato. But you must also get his point. We must chase away
the jokers.
Exactly. But because marriage is so important that we do not want people jumping into it. But then you have challenged us. You have challenged us.
Yes.
But even with the dowry coming, there are still jokers.
Right, Sheikh, you want to say something?
I want to add something on what, in fact, I want to respond to her. You know, even if she pays the dowry for herself, but even the man that is going to find, you know, unajua umejilipia mahari, so you'll have to compensate.
No, I don't want.
But it deals with his pride. He feels, how do I allow
But
the
that's,
woman
you see,
to pay for
then
me?
Victoria, then if he wants to appreciate, I don't want to be bought. If you want to appreciate my parents, that's okay, but don't buy me. And one thing you need to understand also, coming back to our parents, stop selling me. I am not your property. I am a child who can make I can make my choices.
I have to ask this: what happens in the case where the man does not pay?
Now let's start here.
What is the penalty?
First of all, I told you I'm a grandfather.
Yes.
And I've had a daughter move. I refused any money.
You refused to receive any money?
Completely.
And what
the
is the
other family
for
tried to say, but you know, we are Kikuyus. Said none. Any gifts we give to our children. They require money. It's very expensive to start living together. The wedding is very expensive. If you have any money, mweke hapa. Na mimi, niweke. Both of us help our children.
Exactly.
Nice.
So what you are saying is not a theory. I've done it myself.
Thank you.
But Elder, you know, there are not many who would think like you and do what you do.
Exactly.
If they don't pay, there's a penalty.
Now let's say. So my understanding, 3 reasons why I did it, so that the others who are listening to us can hear. Number one, is not a New Testament theology. You cannot be a Christian and have a biblical basis for selling your daughter.
Amen.
Okay.
The New Testament, from all the chapters, they talk about marriage. There's marriage in the Gospels, marriage in the letters of Paul, marriage in the book of Revelation is there, but never about dowry. Somewhere along the way from Old Testament to the New, dowry dropped off. That's one. Number two, that's the first reason that I do not see it as a requirement for a marriage to be blessed. Number two, which is important, I see the example of Isaac and Rebecca. I think they may also be in the Quran. They never paid dowry. That's a chapter that a lot of people like using. But you just go and read Genesis chapter 24. The story is clear. When Eliezer finally said, the reason I've come here is to get a wife, he was told, will you eat first? He said, no, I can't eat until I find out whether I'm blessed. Then finally, when he told his story, the father of the girl of Rebecca said, this is of the Lord. You take your wife. The moment he had, Isaac now had a wife. He went outside, got jewels, and gave some to the father, some to the brother, some. You know, that's not dowry.
That's not dowry.
That's a gift, and that's what you are backing.
Yes.
That it's not originally in the Bible. There was not every family was involved in dowry. This family never asked for anything, but they were given.
They were gifted.
So, and now that's why I'm backing him. You should not. It's not culturally right. It's not biblically right. And I think the Quran, although I have a Quran at home, I haven't read it as much. I don't think it's right in the Quran for you to go to visit an important home empty-handed. So when you are visiting your mother-in-law to be, you should not go empty-handed. But it is you to value what money do you have, how you value your wife, and how you appreciate the family. And whether you give 20,000 and that's all you can afford, your wife knows, because she already knows by that time that when you give 20,000, and she should tell her parents, when you give him 20, that guy has worked very hard.
You know,
take it.
I want to know then, what's the penalty if someone doesn't pay dowry?
Okay, they must pay it. Yes, in Islam they must pay it. There's an incident that happened during the time of the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him. A person came, and in fact there was a lady who came and sought to be married by the Prophet himself. So, and the Prophet, sort of maybe was not interested with her. So, and there was a person who said, why don't you give her to me? And then the Prophet asked him, so do you have anything to give it to her as a dowry? So he said, I have nothing. So he told him, go and look for something. So he went, came back, he said, I have not found anything. So until he asked him, can't you even find a ring, a metal ring? You give it to her as a present. So he said, I cannot afford it because I don't have anything to do. So he asked him, so have you memorized some verses in Quran? He said yes. So he said, so teach her those verses as a dowry. Okay, so he must look for something.
You have to have something to give.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think, as we wrap up this discussion, I'd want to know, how do we then begin to change our thinking and idea on dowry to where it really is something that's sentimental, and we move away from that, as you've all been saying, that commercial aspect of dowry? I'll begin
number one, we must remove the word dowry.
Okay.
Stop, because as long as you call it dowry, ratio,
it's the same thing.
Kogura. Now, the word itself has meaning. So you can't use dowry and make it a gift.
True.
So why don't we now start talking about families exchanging gifts? So remove the word dowry. That's the first thing you do. That's the first thing. Number two, which will be the moment you allow families to, because I'm backing him, we must not make it, cheapen it. So the process should continue. The second thing you do is you need to emphasize to people the marriage is more important than the wedding.
Yes.
That the wedding is a one-day affair. Marriage is for a lifetime. So that the process should be talking to the children about what are the requirements of a marriage and how can the marriage be better off. Number three, we need to start talking to children in primary school, such that the boy does not expect to buy the girl, and the girl does not expect to be bought.
Yeah.
To come to the age of Anita and start telling them not to be bought or to be bought, you are rather late. So we need to start teaching it in primary school. Let it enter into our catechism in the church. Let it enter into the, and we talk about it.
Yeah.
So by the time you get, because the other day I was counseling some young people, and a girl said, "Me, I must be bought." These are university graduates.
Wow.
And it was the girl who was insisting on being bought, and I did not want the idea that the boy can come without buying. I said, can't your boyfriend come with a gift? No, my parents will ask whatever my parents ask for. Now, so I realized we have a problem, because that's rather late. So we should start teaching them from the beginning. That would start changing the discussion, according to me.
I think as I think it starts with our parents. Stop selling your kids. We are not, and I repeat that, and I'm going to insist, I'm not a commodity. You had me out of will. So can you please just not ask for anything for raising me? And once we go there, then our parents can understand that, cause for the girls. And it's sad that we have instilled this, the parents have instilled this in the young girls, like, you are worth this much, but you're priceless. But then you've put price tags on them. You're worth $500,000, you're worth $1 million. And these kids are going to carry them and actually think, this is my worth. So if I get someone who has less, no matter how much of a good man he is, no matter how hardworking he is, he's not worthy of me. And that's a problem we have with this generation. They want rich men because you've been told you're worth a rich man. They want a person who's made it. And even their parents are not made it at that age. But even their parents maybe have not made it. They're using you as a ticket to make it. And it's so sad that we're ending up in these situations. Or even girls not getting married. Kwanza my tribe, they'll be like, Kikuyus will be like, mimi nisponunuliwa, my parents can't agree. And I ask, are your parents getting married again, or are you getting married? Because you're going into this marriage, and people, as he said, he took my words out of the mouth. People focus on that one wedding. And listen, if this guy or woman wants to live, even if you do a process of dowry for 1 year, there's kohadai the where you plant, you get to be known, you go for dowry, then it's a process. He will still live. And that wedding will be a one-day affair. Then the marriage won't work. You're broke, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. I think other than removing the word dowry, we need to first understand and explain to our girls and boys, you do not need to pay to have a partner, or you do not need to pay to have a marriage. Marriage is not a business transaction. It's about living together, commitment, loyalty, things like that. Yeah. But we don't teach them that. It's all about ulinunuliwa. Now the man can tell you, do this, jump, how high. It doesn't make sense. We need to teach our girls, marriage is not a business transaction. Okay, it's not.
Okay, I think it has gotten to a point where, you know, even the siblings, especially brothers, are asking their sisters, why are you not getting married so that I may get something to marry, you know. And the other unfortunate thing that is happening is that we've got to a point where we are not even appreciating the character, the values of a person. We are looking at the material things, you know, which is not right. But I'll still insist on paying the dowry to the bride, but this process must be followed. You know, when you're going to have your lifetime partner, at least you don't go there empty-handed. At least you must appreciate with something. And you know, as also the same way the African cultures are the same way we say mahari yaishagi kulipwa, you know, at least it's something that you'll be visiting there. At least you come with something, at least you have raised your daughter well, and so on. So this procedure must be followed, and we must ensure that we look into values at someone's personality,
right,
rather than looking at you know, the material things.
All right, thank you so much, Sheikh, Anita, and Elder, for a thought-provoking discussion. Hopefully we get people talking about this a bit more and thinking about what it means for future generations. Keep the conversation going on social media, #CitizenWeekend. Thanks again for watching. All right, and just as we wrap up, let's take a look at some of your feedback. Lots of it coming through on social media. This is on Twitter. Robert Juma saying dowry has been over-commercialized. To me, I would only bless my daughter and son-in-law to be and tell him that the only dowry I need is for him to take good care of my daughter, and that is it. Interesting, a lot of men would want to marry your daughter. Collins Ndiwa saying dowry needs to be removed. This age isn't one for trading human beings like commodities. And let's take a look at the last one here. Delvis, in my culture, dowry is either monetary or fully livestock. The more you give, the higher you're valued. Though we are in a phase of life where dowry is a little appreciation because marriage used to be valued before than now. Thank you so much for your feedback. Thanks again for watching. Have a lovely evening. Remember, One Love is up next. Good night.